they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family, then back in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. What's going on? My name is Beth Schweitzer. She's Jamie Latimer. She's Carolyne Prevo. We're all here. It's the weekend. I've been driving like every weekend. I am so done driving. Next weekend, I'm not going anywhere. And then I go to the games like a couple weekdays after that. But I need to like park the car for a little bit.
Are you driving to the games?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, if you remember, the only reason I'm going is because I got a round trip
That's
flight
right.
for $200.
Yep, that's right.
And I couldn't pass up the deal.
Yeah.
So Bruce and Kenneth are already here. What's up, guys? Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier. We've got so much happening this week. If you have not hit that little bell to know what's going on, you're going to miss a ton. A ton. So Kenneth says a rare hair down Prevo night.
It's because I showered and then it's just air dried.
So have you guys watched the opening ceremonies Olympics this weekend at all?
No.
Oh yeah, I've watched everything that I could. Not the 3 a.m. ones. Normally, probably this week when we head to the gym, because we normally are up at 3:45, Lex and I. So we'll be catching some of the very early ones. But yeah, we watched opening ceremonies. We watched, what did we watch today? Men's basketball. I watched some soccer, the horse. Yeah, a little bit of everything. The kayak. Crazy.
I love the launch at the kayak where you they drop you off of a ledge.
The way that, yeah, and how they have to turn back and not hit any of the posts or like those little floating thingies. Yeah, it's just cool to watch different sports that you don't get to watch throughout the year. Essentially, most of these sports I only get to watch every 4 years. Yeah,
you can tell it's sports we don't normally watch because you're like, when you go around the thingy and you drop off the ledge and then you got to back. We don't even use any of the correct terms. But I watched rugby today. I watched swimming, of course. I watched some gymnastics. Simone Biles is just a cyborg. Like, that is just not even fair. How fast she flips is insane.
Is it vault? What was going on?
So they were doing everything today to qualify for the team finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she did the vault and flipped so fast. I was just in awe. And then I missed her floor routine, but when I heard that was just insane.
It's the height that she gets too, and she comes from such a small body, and she just is able to generate so much power in her tumbling. It's crazy. I watched the men. I think the men were yesterday. That was very cool to watch as well. Yeah, I mean, you're just looking at the best of every sport. It's my favorite time of the year. I love watching the Olympics because I love watching sports.
Yeah. So what I'm a big swimming fan, right? I'm watching as much as I can of the swimming, but I'm finding myself almost rooting against China more than for the U.S. because of that drug thing.
Yeah.
28 people popped for performance enhancing drugs. It's almost like I don't care if the U.S. wins. I just don't want China to podium.
I just don't get how they're allowed to compete. It makes no sense to me.
What did they say? It was all like tainted meat, and
they said they all went out to dinner together. And really,
wow.
Like, we've heard all the excuses.
Right.
And that's just right down the fairway of excuses.
Yeah, and we have plenty of excuses in our sport. We've heard them all.
Right. So anyway, I was happy like that we're doing okay. But I'm just glad China is not doing okay.
Yeah.
I was sad for Team Canada's soccer team. I don't know if you saw that. There's like a drone gate.
The Bill Belichick of women's soccer.
Essentially, Jamie, if you're not up to date, the Canadian women's soccer team, their staff flew a drone over New Zealand, I think it was. Their soccer team's closed practice, and you're not allowed to film anything.
Yeah.
I had read that one of the guy flying the drone was getting like 8 months to like in prison or something because it's like illegal to film things that are closed also in their country. But the head coach got a year suspension, and 2 of the assistant coach are also gone for the whole competition, and they deducted 6 points from Team Canada. So right now there's only 3 games in the pool play, and each game is worth 3 points. Canada's the defending Olympic champions as well, and so now they have 0 points. They just beat France today. They've won both games, but it still might not even be enough to move on because they penalized them 6 full points. So now they're at 0. So they essentially need to win the next game, and then they might need like someone else to tie as well. Or I think they should be good maybe if they win the next game. But I was just so invested for the girls today because, I mean, they train all 4 years, and it's not like the players' fault. Like they're getting punished, in my opinion, for not knowing what was going on. Like they were apparently not in the know that happened. So it just it sucks. So just to see the girls win today, I was like, just super pumped.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If they did not know and they did not take part in it, they're being punished way too severely for this. But yeah, it was. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork now saying that they feel like it's been done to them as well. Like it's been going on for years. So, and I think Andrew Sten said something about that as well. And he's a huge soccer guy.
Yeah, but I mean, unless you know it's been happening in all the other teams and everyone's kind of on the same playing field, if it really is just a Canada thing, then do they have a competitive, even if the girls didn't know about it, do they have a competitive advantage from the coaching knowledge that was passed down? I mean,
yeah, it's the whole New England Patriots thing all over again. Like Bill Belichick, Spygate, Deflategate, whatever.
Yeah.
Was it? Did the players get a competitive advantage or not?
Right.
It's just it's an extremely harsh penalty that was handed out, but I mean, it's just going to prevent other teams to do it, right? Like you want a harsh penalty because if the penalty is not harsh enough, then you have this continuing to happen and people just lose their coaches and it's all good.
Yeah.
I just felt like 6 points is a lot.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and they can only do what they can do now. So they're playing basically without coaches, and they've won 2 games. So it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce is bringing up the Astros did it, stealing signals, won a World Series. Like it happens in sports all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the penalty does have to be severe or it's just going to continue to happen. So I typed this in right before we went on the air. I was looking at the medal count and it puts all the silver, the gold, the bronze, and the total at the end, but it's in order of gold. When you think of medal count, do you think all the medals? Is that good enough, or do you think gold only?
I think total medals, personally. I mean, podium's podium.
Same here. I like looking at the total, but I also like looking at the country is just dominating in gold medals. But I normally try to look at the total.
Of course, everybody does that. They want to compete against the other countries, but it's kind of unfair because, like, basketball gets 1 medal count, yet you have a team of men that have, done this, and then like the 100 butterfly gets a medal. Right. So it's kind of disproportionate because for years, like when we sent our best basketball players, nobody touched us.
Right.
Right. But you only get 1 gold medal for that. So it kind of goes down the line of some other things we're going to talk about tonight. So Jeffrey Birchfield says total medals, Bruce Wayne, total medals. It's a team sport. So before we dive into all the news that is, Masters interviews. I put out a post last night. Wow, the response. That calling all Legends, which Legends is running the Masters competition. If you're a Masters Games athlete, I'm trying to profile as many as I can before the Masters CrossFit Games. I got an overwhelming response, and there are still some in my inbox that I haven't even been able to touch yet. So if you're in that inbox, please be patient. I will get to you. It just takes a lot of back and forth to schedule and to make a thumbnail, to be able to put it into StreamYard and all that stuff. So, but we are really booked up for this week. I think I can show StreamYard real quick and just show you kind of what we have on deck, because it is insane. Here we go. So I will try to blow this up. So we have Denise Moore and Cindy Hinkle doing it together. Carolyne Matthews, Brett Owsley, Brandon Fontenot, Julie Schaefer, Kelly Friel, Laura Redman, and Haley Queller.
Good one.
Yeah, and there are still, we've done 2 already. There are at least 10 in my inbox that I'm trying to schedule. So, yeah, it's stacked up. But if you missed the first 2 we did with Allison Stahl and Ryan Redke, they were awesome. Allison is 8 months postpartum. She competed in semis last year pregnant. It was fun to kind of see how that has affected her in her training and the battles she's going through because of that. And then with Ryan Redke, who won Fear Factor back in 2003 when he had a full head of hair. He is now bald, and his kids call the Fear Factor days his when dad had hair. And it was funny because I said, yeah, Joe Rogan did too. And he was not as popular back then as he is today. I watched the full episode that he was on. It was crazy what he went through to win that. But yeah, and we talk about it pretty in depth on the episode. But those are the cool backstories that you get when you're interviewing the Masters athletes who have a ton of life experience. Many of them are working full-time jobs as they're doing this thing, just like the 2 ladies on my show with me tonight, working full-time jobs and trying to pull this off. So, with that, do we want to get into what Dave had to say this week?
Yeah.
I need to hold on. Okay. So he, in his weekend review, I believe said that the number on the Happy Star was not the weight of the Happy Star. So we wanted to clarify that. Do we believe him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's odd that it would be written like that, unless that's the max that it can take. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And if it's not taught, like, it's easier to lift, right? Like, so
it depends on how not taught it is. Like, we have one that's like 60% full, and I feel like it's the hardest one to lift. It's so floppy.
Yeah, I agree. When they're more full, they're almost easier. They just kind of just grab them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of like like it's super hard to do touch and go cleans with the sandbags when they're not full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have only done handful of sandbags that didn't have a handle. And when they're taught, I find getting your hand under is harder, like getting under it to start. But I see what you mean. It's just too floppy.
If it was just like bear hug carries, yeah, you might want it a little empty. Although with this being the star and like basically having areas to put your arm, I think it's fine. You're gonna want it pretty full.
The stars, like to me, would be easier for the carry.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll allow more speed if they're running with it. So it's not like as easy to fold over or something, or thumb fall. Might just be easier.
In addition, Dave has finished all 79 interviews. Plus, he interviewed Matt O'Keefe, which we'll get into in a second. His last one was Danielle. I know the barbell spin put out a poll. Many people said it would be Danielle. In fact, it was Danielle. And she got a full hour.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch?
I did watch it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Thoughts?
I actually thought it was a good interview. I liked when she talked about her behavior at the 21 games. It's very introspective. Like I haven't seen her really touch on that in anything else she's done, even that rad tapes that they did, which you would have thought maybe she would have gotten more into that there. Yeah, I liked it. It was a little bit of a different side of her for parts of it.
Yeah, I like that they went through the whole history of her CrossFit Games experience and just where she began, her time with the demo team, the book that he gave her. We saw him post that on the story. And I agree with you. I like this when she talked about the 2021 games and just that experience, because that was obviously a very difficult time for her, but it also like boosted her following so much that year. I mean, it was already really high, and then that just took it over even more. So while there may have been negative that she felt from that, there was a lot of positive, I think, that she could take away from that experience.
Yeah.
Jay Birch asked the flipping off incident. It was actually more than that.
Yeah, it was more than that, Jeff. She talked a lot about like, she's like, I was like a brat. Like she didn't necessarily, she was embarrassed of her behavior. She just learned more about herself, and she could have handled everything, the entire games process just better. You'll have to give it a watch. It's good.
Yeah, she called it all a learning experience, that she could have used that energy in a different way to help her perform as opposed to hurt her.
Yeah.
And I do think in her documentary, she was a little introspective at times during that documentary. And so I have noticed her being a little more introspective this year.
Yeah.
One, she's not out there in the media all the time this year. She's pretty much stayed to herself. But yeah, Bruce said probably your best interview to date. I agree.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And I do think Dave got better as he went along. I think Dave got to be a better interviewer as he went along.
Totally agree.
Like if you compare Brooke at the start to Danielle, and both being his favorite athletes, if I were to say it, like it was a little bit cringy with Brooke, and I did not feel that way really with Danielle, right? I thought it got better throughout. And like you said, he was able to get deeper, especially on the like later ones that were getting a little bit longer. Like it started off around the 10 to 15, and then a lot more of them were beginning to be closer to the 20-minute. And obviously we got Pat with the 30-minute one. But yeah, I like those interviews a lot. Learned a lot about the athletes, and I'm excited to watch them in, less than 2 weeks?
It's coming out.
Vi says it did feel a little weird that some athletes got 11 and she got an hour. I can say, just from an interviewer's perspective, there are some athletes that give you so much more. Like interviewing Ryan Redke, I could have gone on for 3 hours, because when you ask him a question, he gives you details about the story that you don't have to pull out of him, right? He just does. When I talk to Ariel, it just flows because she's naturally a person that just likes to talk, right? And so you have some interviews that it just goes a lot easier.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that the last couple were longer. He's essentially done and he cares less about the time. Imagine if you had started at 30 minutes to 45 minutes. That would have felt overwhelming.
Yeah. If I'm doing 7 in a day, they're going to all be short. Right. When that was the last one and only one on that day and he doesn't have any more scheduled. Sure. Great point, Bruce. Fee as well. Fee is someone that when I sit down and talk to, it just goes. And we don't even talk about anything in the sport most of the time. Right. You have some of those people that's just natural. And I'll say when we've had Danielle on, she has been very open and transparent during our talks. And that's probably why they're the highest rated shows we have on this channel. Because every time she's on, it explodes. But yeah. Again, Vi, it's not about who's been here the longest. There's just some people that you naturally have conversation with, and the conversation just flows.
My favorite interviewer was still Pat. I thought he pushed back more than any other athlete in terms of his opinion on stuff and just the experience that he has. I thought that, it was hard to even tell who was interviewing who between those two because it was good. That was my favorite. And I love Pat.
So that's a perfect segue, Carolyne. Chris Alford asks, did you see Dave on Sevan's podcast? I went through it at 2 speed today because I went to celebrate my daughter's birthday with her this weekend and tried to catch up on everything. Yes, they talked about the Pat interview during that conversation, and Dave was kind of defensive about some of the comments Pat made about that, because Pat then came on Sevan, said some things, and then Dave responded to the follow-up of Pat, which was that if you're not watching other events and you don't know the names of the athletes, do you care about the sport? And Dave was very adamant that nobody cares about the sport more than he does. He's like, it was on my ranch. It started there. I've built this thing. Nobody cares about it as much as I do.
I still think that he can learn a lot from other competitions to not make the same mistake. But that's why I think a lot of input from his team is crucial, because I'm sure they watch other competitions, which I know that they would. So he might not have to, but as long as someone from the team is in the know of what's going on, what's been programmed, what works, what doesn't, what's safe for the athletes, I think that's where it's beneficial to be looking at what's going on in the sport elsewhere.
They did talk about the monetization as well. And through that conversation, it became clear to me that Dave has monetized his channel. He just chose not to monetize those interviews. And he said there is, like, his hunting content, he monetizes. There are some things he does monetize, but he chose not to monetize the interviews. Right. Which we had a private discussion this week during Danielle's interview, because it looked like there was a monetization marker on it, but it just meant you could do super chats, but wasn't monetizing it through ads. And it was kind of explained. If you do YouTube, you understood it when he was talking about it yesterday. So, but he did interview Matt O'Keefe too, and he's going to continue. And he was asked to do that by people at HQ to interview partners at the games. And HWPO is doing some activations. I think O'Keefe said like 164 different activations during the week. And so they interviewed him about that. And in that conversation, that Dave announced that they were going to give an award for the best training camp. Mm-hmm. He explained a little more in this interview with Sevan as well, but basically each camp can pick 3 athletes to represent them. And based on where they score, they can get a point, or where they finish, they get a number of points.
I must have missed the 3. They each camp picks 3 athletes part.
He said that in the O'Keefe interview.
Oh.
Yeah.
It would be like a golf score. Like if I don't know, let's say Pat's HWPO now, and other athletes, like if Pat got second and someone else got 4th, they're at 6 points total. Or I had a 3rd athlete. Whoever has the lowest would essentially win the top camp, if you want to call it, which is different than the affiliate cup, apparently. And,
correct.
Yeah.
So, as Carolyne, as someone who's not a part of a camp, what are your overall thoughts that they're going down this path, or does it not bother you?
I just think it's interesting to look at camps when half of them don't even train together, like ever. They just follow the program versus an actual training camp where they're, training one-on-one or no, whatever, like together. I don't know. I feel like they already get a lot of advantages in the sport. That's just another thing that they're given. A little trophy or whatever they'll get. I don't know. I don't know that it really means much. It helps the bigger camps, I guess, show which one's best. I feel like most of the analysts, or the journalists, I should say, will write about which camp did the best anyways. But yeah, it's just hard because some of them don't even follow the program, and they'll take the money or the sponsorships that camp will give them. And that's the other issue too. Like if you look at certain athletes that were very recently, let's say, changed camps or acquired, or even like last year, like let's say Colton, right? Like he was not proven and then he was proven, and whatever sponsorship he's getting through that, like right away, like they'll claim him right away. But like we all know he was built, from his farm and doing his own stuff, or whoever he was following before. Just like the underdogs moving to proven now, a few weeks before the games. Like, are they proven or are they underdogs? Like, yes, they're technically proven now, but how long have they been training there? Like, that's another factor.
So I have in my notes, like, there should be a minimum month requirement, but when Dave talked about it yesterday, he was like, listen, it means nothing and it means everything, was his quote. And it just gets people to talk. And what he was looking into was that they have to declare when they sign in for the games. So if Bailey Martin shows up at the games and he's like, you know what, I identify more as underdogs than proven, I want to go under underdogs this year. Boom. He's publicly declared as an underdog athlete. And he goes, I don't care if they did anything under them or they did whatever, but you have to publicly declare whatever it is. I think it just gets to be messy though when you're that freewheeling by it. And then do people get signed up just as a number to win this award?
Yeah, I mean, at some point it probably would monetarily benefit one of these camps to get one of these big names last minute, be on their team. That's going to be the winning team, and more people are going to sign up for that programming.
Yeah, is it better to get 3 athletes that finish high or get 10 athletes that qualify, right? That's another thing too. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion. I don't follow any training camp program. Just my own stuff.
John Young says, you telling me Pat is doing Fraser's programming, Carolyne, or is he doing the same deal with Latondra? They ain't influencing nothing. It's just in the name only, unless you know something I don't.
No, to me, he is Michelle's athlete, and he's doing DECA, which is now acquired by HWPO. I think it's so weird that he's HWPO. To me, he's DECA. It's even weird for certain athletes that are training or switching training camps now. Like, it's just a name. It's just sponsorships. They'll do what they'll want to get more money or support. whether it's access to treatment at the games, access to information at the games, whatever. Being a part of a training camp is helpful at times.
Again, like I said earlier, like Dave's idea of at least people were talking about it, and that's what his goal is. I just don't think that's like big thinking marketing in this day and age. That's great in 2012 when you're a small sport coming up, but at some point you have to prove that you're doing things the right way. Not people talking.
And are they even affiliated half the time, these like training camps or whatever, right? So like Underdogs is a program, but I don't think that's an actual affiliate, Underdogs CrossFit. So it has other repercussions, I guess. To me, the affiliate cup is a team stuff. The journalists and stuff and the analysts will say which one's the best camp anyways. I don't think if he wants to do it, he wants to do it. It's a fun little award. It's a Spirit of the Games award.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like the last minute drop of the Triple Crown that Dave tried to say. Well, when you do it in the middle of the Triple Crown and nobody knew it even existed, is it really a Triple Crown? And,
right.
And the scoring was absurd anyway, and then that just, to me, that's just going to go by the wayside. And this is another thing that just flippantly was said. And unless there's something put behind it that means something, it's just going to go away.
Yeah.
So there's that. We'll finish up with Dave posted on his Instagram a video of Trista Smith, demo athlete, doing Chad. Now, yesterday on Sevan, he said that he's the one that took the video and he on purposely made sure that you could not see the box.
Mm-hmm.
So does that tell you anything, or is that just another?
I think there might be like two circles or two pieces of tape or something on the box, so you have to step up and then you can like rotate or twist the other way, and there might be it might be you step up with both feet need to be like this versus you can't stand up halfway on the box where you can step down. You have to stand up. So your foot is on both parts of let's say a tape line on the box. Do you know what I mean by that or no?
Yeah.
There's
you can't step to the far side of the box and be ready to get down. You need to be on this side of the box. Then you can turn and get your feet over.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's something like that on the box so that you're not halfway turned when you're doing your step up, which would save seconds throughout the whole movement. So that's the first thing I thought of was there must be something she's stepping on there. And then the second thing, which we talked about, was that she was wearing knee sleeves folded on her ankles. So I didn't know whether every, 100 or 200 steps, instead of moving a pylon, they have to go and do one weighted rope climb, and then come back to their step ups. It's something that wouldn't be taking that long anyways. And then they just would do something like that. I don't know, but it was interesting that she wore knee sleeves to me, unless she thought she was going to trip, but I don't think that you would wear knee sleeves during the box step ups.
The twist is that you have to step down backwards, which means you have to turn on the top of the box. Tape line makes sense.
Right.
Or chalk circles or whatever, forces them to do that. Andrew Sten also on purposely. Yes, that is official podcaster language. And it's a secret handbook we're given when we start a podcast, and we know the secret words you can use. So on purposely is one of those words.
A literal twist.
A literal twist.
Yeah.
That would be so Dave. That Chad will have a twist and it actually is a literal twist.
Yeah. Well, I think Carolyne's right that there is something else. I mean, he said in that conversation with Sevan that he spoke to Chad's spouse and informed her of the changes. And he even said she was testing components. So I mean, it sounds like there's something else being involved in that workout other than just the box. So, and it could be the rope. It could, I don't know.
Jay Birch, I could see that if they were on her knees, but they were actually folded down around her ankles.
Yeah.
Or someone in our little chat said maybe they're ankle weights. So that would be even another twist, but that would be crazy.
Historic agrees.
Yeah, there's Historic Fitness came in with the same thing.
I mean, if the workout's already super hard, like I've done it with the 35 before. I don't think you need to add the weights. They have a heavy clean ladder coming right after. It's already very leg intensive. Like your quads are going to be blown up. Your calves are going to be sore. I don't think the ankle weights are needed. I just thought it was weird. I think it was knee sleeves. If I wear my knee sleeves on box jumps, normally it's just in case I would, fall. And I don't have them rolled down. I would have them higher up, like middle of my shin in case I jump. So the fact that they're all the way down, the only time that you wear them all the way down is for rope climbs. So to me, and we've seen weighted rope climbs at Rogue Invitational or other competitions. To me, it would make sense. I wouldn't be surprised if it's there just based off of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, you could like try to guess other workouts of the earlier days, but I mean, he said it's going to be well balanced, and I don't know that just straight Chad without adding a gymnastics component or something would be the best elimination workout. I mean, I like the endurance aspect of it. It is a mindset thing, but I do think throwing something in like a weighted rope climb would be a good idea.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
It would give the judges a break from counting.
Yeah, that's true.
It just seemed like she was taking so many steps across the top. Maybe the box was wider. She is short though, right? She is short, but you could tell it was a wooden box by the squeaking of the shoe, because you don't get that on the wide Rogue box.
I just think that there's something where you have to stand up. You have both your feet there. You stand up, and then you can rotate your foot.
Yeah,
I think
right.
it's the only way. It's the only way that I think would be fair, where the judge can fully see the standing up, and then you rotate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you pull the video and show it just so we can look at it quickly? Or
I told Jamie I forgot my mouse upstairs, so I'm not as.
Yeah, Historic says I like 10 rounds, 100 step up plus 1 rope climb. I like it. Wasn't this like he was training to climb a mountain or something? This was part of the reason he did this workout.
I don't know. I don't know the history of it. I know that Dave talked about the history of him making it something in honor of him.
Yeah.
But so that's the video, and you can see the black around the bottoms of her legs.
Like to me, she purposely taps that circle or whatever's there. It could be a counter to count the reps so that it's, I have no idea, but there's something there to tap, and then you can rotate, tap, and then rotate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I totally agree. If he was a remote mountain climber doing training for something like that, you typically will have like a rope with you too when you go do some of that stuff. So I can see him throwing it, not taking away from the workout, throwing like a rope climb in there.
I just like the dense step ups. So getting them away from the box too much, I think deviates from Chad. So I hope that they keep it like where you're having to do a dense set. I've heard different channels talk about like elimination factors. I just don't see being an elimination of Chad, like where they cut after a certain amount of people or a certain amount of steps or time, just because if two people extend at the same time, it would take forever to like figure out, oh, which one actually stood up first. Let me check this, the stopwatch of a judge. Like there's no way that they have an elimination style. He said everyone finishes Chad. Everyone's going to do Chad and finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Block fills us in. Sarah Wilkinson, his wife, has spoken publicly about his training habits, including doing 1,000 step-ups at a time while preparing for a climb up Aconcagua, the tallest mountain in South America.
Yeah.
But this announcement was made as well. And it turns out that it is a clean ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it is an elimination from 30 to 20 to 10.
Just for the workout, to be clear.
Correct. Just for the workout. This is event 8. If you look at the top, individual event 8, right beside clean and jerk or clean ladder. So any thoughts about this? 2 events after the first cut. And probably
no.
Isn't
everyone
this the first?
No, this is the first event after the cut.
First event after the cut. Sorry.
Right.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised it's a clean ladder. I have 2. Well, if it's right after Chad, and I mean, they've also done a lot of legs so far with like the running and things going on. Even the night prior, like their legs are like, I think will be smoked going into it. I don't see, like, some of the people online were saying like 385 cleans. I'm like, there's no way. Like Fraser cleaned 380 and he was the only one to clean that. And that's, on a single platform, like it.
Right.
As a speed ladder, normally it's something that's faster. I think it's either 2 things. Either it's the same weight for all 3 rounds, and then it's like 3, 2, and then they get rid of the 1 bar, and now it's the 2, 1, 1, 1, and then they get rid of that one, and then it's the 3, and then it just, let's say, goes, I don't know, 245, 275, 315, 325, 345. I don't even know. I'm just saying numbers right now. Let's say it ends around 345. You get rid of that 245. And then, so it could be something like that, or it gets progressively, and then you start seeing the heavier weights come out. You could see either style. Just because the way that he wrote the bars, I felt like, oh, maybe they're just eliminating that top one and it's the same weight as the 111. But I could see them going heavier, but no way that's going to 385.
Yeah, I don't know that would even be. It wouldn't, if only a couple men are going to get the final bar. If you make it something like super heavy like that, is that even fun to watch? Like, you want to see the race, you want to see people move the weight.
Yeah, it needs to be a race. It's a speed ladder, and especially with 30 athletes to begin, you don't want half the field to also be stuck on a bar.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, it'll probably be lighter, heavier, and then heaviest. But I don't think you're going to see numbers like we've seen in
the guesses. I agree.
Yeah, it's too heavy.
Yeah.
But it brings the question that, you're doing a clean ladder after cuts. Last year, they also did the Olympic liftings after the first cut, and some of the stronger athletes didn't maybe get to showcase their strengths. Hopefully they have some strengths being tested in events prior to number 7, because we have Chad, you have that run, swim, you have some other running implements. I'm sure there's going to be some strength probably in that one involved with the mile. Just not sure how it's going to get scored. But you have to think that there's going to be CrossFit events coming up. Gymnastics needs to be there, and some sort of strength needs to get tested before they get to the clean ladder.
Does it? I mean, he kind of touched on that, and he's like, you have to earn your spot to lift heavy. Like, we aren't just trying to find the strongest person. They're trying to find the fittest, and they don't necessarily want you if you're just the strongest person there. Like, you got to get there, then you can show us what you can lift.
But to me, it's too monostructural, heavy on the first part if you don't have the strength. Because
I think it'll be well-rounded.
Yeah, it should be well rounded.
John Young says every speed ladder they've done, it goes up in weight. I think last bar's 365.
That was my guess of the weight on the, because Dave said that you could like predict the weights each round. That's what I guess, that it went to 365 for the last one. No more than that.
Julie and I, for kind of different subject, what did you guys think of Tommy forgetting Emma Lawson on CrossFit Games Show when he listed his top 10? So if people did not see this, there was CrossFit Games put out an Instagram post where they were previewing the games and listed just like 1, 2, 3, and it was Tommy Marquez reading it. Women to look for at the games. Emma Lawson did not appear in the top 10.
Yeah, I don't think that was Tommy Marquez's picks. I think that was
I think he was just doing the narration.
Right.
If it was, all three of us had her in the top 10 when we did our rankings last week. Mm-hmm. So for us, we all picked her to finish in the top 10. It
is interesting that she was left off. Was it like somewhat out of respect for her to like stop having attention brought to her name and less pressure put on her? I don't know. Like, you know,
it could be a pressure thing. Yeah. I mean, I still think you have to acknowledge her in the top 10, pressure or no pressure. Like, that girl's a top 10 athlete. They didn't name her, which is the biggest name. And then I was surprised they didn't name Brooke as well. Was maybe another one coming back from last year. I would have thought they would have used her, but yeah, I was very surprised when Emma wasn't there, because she's a podium threat for sure. She could even threaten for the top spot, pending if Tia has a very bad weekend. But yeah.
Another event was announced, and that is a team event, which said 5x400. The picture had Big Bob. Carolyne thinks that I'm overstating that Big Bob is in the picture, and they just grabbed a picture. Jamie, you're agreeing with Carolyne?
Yes.
Why they've used two different Big Bob pictures now. So why do you keep grabbing a picture with Big Bob if that's not part of this?
No, the more I thought about it, I think they are using it, but I still like my guess that I did with you, where it's like you do one part of the field, let's say one sled. You get one part of the sled distance, and then you go for a 400-meter run. Let's say two athletes, male, female. They come back. All four athletes push another part of the sled, let's say 10 meters or whatever, section 15 yards. And then the other male, female goes, and then female, female, male, male, and then all four of them do the last 400. Just so that they have still close to a mile of running, because in Boz's interview, he says that it mimics a lot of the events of the individuals. And if the individuals are running a mile, like, you would think the teams are not just running 400 meters or 800 meters. They probably have three to do. And then it becomes strategy, which male and female you put together, maybe on which part, who can go back to back. I think that would be cool.
So Kenneth asked, is there an average Bob? I think really what's pictured is just the Bob. There was a Big Bob that actually had pull-up bars on it way back in the day, but they only used it like in 15, maybe 14, 15. And then we haven't seen it since. Jay Birch thinks Carolyne is right. It's also supposed to be a relay, maybe an 800.
So maybe I've looked at this wrong. Isn't it like something on the field is done? Something with the Happy Star, who knows, hurdles, something.
This
and
is
then
team.
I know, no, but I'm talking about individuals right now, so I can mimic it to the team.
Okay.
So isn't there just like a workout on the field, and then stop, reset, and then the mile run?
Event 6 says field sprint, rest 1600.
Okay. So, why do you think that it couldn't just be a relay, Caroline? Like,
I think it could. You could have a buy-in on a sled if you want, and then it's a relay.
Yeah.
I would love to see
their
a pure
field
relay.
was the bob, rest, relay.
And then actually do 5x400. Like, I legit think it could be the 5x400. You would put your little bit longer endurance athlete, somebody who can run an 800 fast, fourth, and just one, all four.
Yeah.
It could be for sure.
Well, I'm making an
That'd be a
editorial decision. I'm going to skip through these next two really fast because we're already at 50 minutes.
Okay.
CrossFit Store's back. If you want to get CrossFit gear, it's available. Dave kind of said yesterday that they might even have some pop-up stores in the venue next week or in a week and a half. And though I'm sure they'll have something in Vendor Village. The other thing is new uniforms. They were for the opening ceremonies, what it was said in the caption, but I cannot find them now. So they've been pulled down from, I can't find them on GoRuck, can't find them on TIA, can't find them on CrossFit Games.
Wow.
So I don't know what that means.
Did Spin post them though? I feel like Spin would have an article with them. He always has.
Yeah, but it's weird that I can't find them on Instagram.
That is weird.
Because they were definitely there. Yeah, he did have an article with Tia. So this will be fast because we really got to get through to our rankings. They're a military type. I thought the men's was more muted, and that's the only picture he has of hers. But like they showed Adler's, and it was very muted compared to the women's. But this is supposed to be opening ceremonies. So I don't know if this is for everything or just for that.
Well, I would assume it'd be similar, just maybe there is a all black or an all green or something. That's typically how it goes, right? Just some variations of that opening ceremony look.
So I thought they were okay. At least they're different and not the same old. Clock says watching CrossFit team athletes dropping batons all over the track would be so much fun. That is so much harder than it looks.
I would love to watch it personally.
The website just says it's Tia jersey, could be exclusive for her. I did talk to Emily Rolfe, who was the first sponsored athlete by GoRuck. She does not have a jersey.
Really?
Which I think is pretty low. But that's just me, and I'm friends with Emily, and so I'm probably, I have an influence there that is bias. So there's that. All right. Again, I'm going to skip past the female thing one more time. We'll do the ranking if we have time. We'll come back to the women thing.
Okay.
But we ranked the men from 1 to 40. We will count them down this week. And take all abuse given when I put Saxon Panchek number 1. Just kidding. Just kidding, John Young.
This was so hard too.
So hard. I just had to.
Yeah, it was so
hard.
Did
it a different way this week, so it shows up a little bit better.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So this is the 31 to 39. If you recall, the 5th place finisher after drug tests was unable to get a visa from Asia. So we are only going to have 39 male athletes. Jamie, go ahead and start with yours.
Okay, 39. Calum Clements, then Ruan Pogier, Arthur Semenov, Bruno Marins, Harry Lightfoot, Peter Ellis, Kellyanne Souza, Anol Ikai, and Cole Graysaber.
Okay. 39th, I have Ruan. I have Souza in 38, Bruno in 37th, Peter Ellis, Arthur Semenov, Calum Clements. I have Victor Hoffer in 33rd, I will explain why after. Harry Lightfoot. I just don't know enough about Harry Lightfoot and Cole Grayshaber. I'll let you go, Scott, and I'll explain mine.
Well, I want to know, because weren't you demo teammates last year? Became all chummy, and then you disrespect them like this?
She might know something.
I'm just kidding. So I had Semenoff 39th, Ruan Potgeider, I think, Kalen Clements, Harry Lightfoot, Bruno Marins, Cole Sager. I just think like it's time. Kalen Souza, Enola Kai, and Peter Ellis in my bottom 9. Go ahead, Carolyne.
He's not a great runner. He has tremendous gymnastics. On his interview with Dave, he talked about injuries to his calf and how he hasn't been able to lift the same numbers, but he's working back towards them. I think with the amount of step-ups and the amount of running that is programmed prior, I think he might be, unless there's a pure gymnastics stuff that he can get 100 points on, I think he's going to be struggling to make the cut just off these first few events, knowing that his calf has issued for years now. And if you go back to listen to Dave's interview, he talks about this injury. He had a lower back problem at Rogue. I just don't know where he's at with some of his, I think it was lower back problem. Could be wrong with that, but with some of his injuries and where that'll put him. He's a rookie. I think in 2 years, he's going to be extremely competitive at the games. I think he just needs a little bit of time and maybe healing for his whatever is going on with his calf. Because I think that's still not 100%. And yeah, go back and listen to that Dave one. That's what I used to put him there. I think if he was healthier, he'd be much higher. He has all the potential. I love him. He was super nice. It's just based off of where I think his health is going into the games.
Fair enough.
So for both of you, you don't think Cole Grayshaber has done anything to improve?
I just look at the people in front of him, and it's just so hard.
I guess I don't know if he's going to be good enough in the run. He was my one where I'm like, do I think he can make that first cut? And I just was like, somebody's got to be out. And you're right, it could be Cole, but I feel like Cole always sneaks in. So you'll see I have Cole like very slightly higher. I don't know. It's just, there's got to be one. It was the same with Kyra, you know?
So it came down to Cole for Cole.
Kinda. It's not a direct 1-1, but yeah. Yeah.
I actually only have him like 2 spots higher. So
right.
I just wanted to see your reaction. Okay. So we will do the next one now.
If there's handstand walking beforehand, I guess he has a shot.
Same with Hoffer.
True.
We'll start with Carolyne, 21-30.
Luckett, Cole Sager, Luke Parker, Enola Kai, Chris Ibera, Alex Caron, Moritz Fiebig, Jack Rosema, Henrik Happelainen, Sam Cornoyer.
I had Caron 30th, Cole Grayshaber 29th, Fiebig 28th, Hoffer, Luka Jukic, Luke Parker, Chris Ibera, Austin Hatfield, Guy Majeros, and Brandon Luckett.
All right. I have 30th, Luke Parker, then Cole Sager, Chris Ibarra, Alexander Caron, Brandon Luckett, Luka Dukic, Victor Hoffer, Moritz Fiebig, Jack Rosema, and Henrik Happelainen.
I will say that the really hard for me is, like, I know Luka Jukic can run. And with what's been put out there right now, like, I really, really wanted to move him up a little bit. And I just, where? Like, when you get into it's so insane. And I knew John Young was going to come at me. Hatfield slander will be remembered for all my days. I just want to see it at the games. I have learned in my 13 years watching this sport that the semifinals or regionals is way different than the games. And I need to see him perform at the games.
Larry Young, Farlow could if he was there.
Yeah.
And like Henrik, I think had a good year last year. Hypolainen. I just think he'll have a little bit of a fallback just with how good the field is. I don't know. Maybe he won't. Sam Cornoyer, he's a tough one because he's so talented. There is a lot of running right now. He hasn't been traditionally a great runner as well. And he was a little bit injured last year. He's always seems to be sick at the games. And until he can actually prove to me at the games and not at Wadapalooza that he can kind of crack there, I kind of just left him right there close to that cut line, which is exactly where I think he finished last year. I hope to see him make the cut because I think he's got really good potential. I just don't know with some of the events that have been programmed so far where he'll stack.
Yeah.
And how many events before the second cut? Because we don't know that part, right?
It's the end of the day on Saturday. So on Sunday, they'll start with the 20. So, yeah, but we don't know. We don't even know how many total events there are or, yeah, my tough one here was Jack Rosema. And it kind of goes like hand in hand with Hatfield. Like I've talked about Hatfield for a long time. I really, really like Jack. I really hope he can make it to the final day.
So Jack is my John's Hatfield.
Right. And I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I think. I even considered. Yeah, I was stuck with Rosema and Ibarra. I just thought with being rookies, like they could. Those are two that I think really could propel themselves inside that top 20. But I just figured they're rookies. I went with Hatfield just based off of his year, like at Crash and a few other events that he's had. Just went by gut instinct for him over those other two rookies that are there.
Let's hit a couple of these comments. Jay Birch says John Hatfield ain't got that dog. I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think he needs a year at the games. Lynn says, and Guy Scott, I thought we talked about this last week. He's going to be top 5 in speed ladder and top 10 in sprint. I got to see it. Like, I need to see that he's worked on the other stuff.
We don't even fully know what the sprint is to say that.
Right. Guy will be top 15 if he gets to the clean ladder. He will have another home run in the ladder events. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't have. So, whoop. There we go. So then let's go to the next. To get these to blow up, it is not the easiest thing to do. Here we go. I'll lead off the 11 to 20. I have Heinrich Hypolainen in 20th, just barely making the cut. Bailey Martin with a little bit of a slip back this year. BKG, Travis Mayer, James Sprague in 16th, Sam Quant 15th, Jason Hopper 14th, Sam Cornoyer 13th, Rosema 12th, Yellow Hosta 11th.
Okay, me. Gosh, Caroline, I cannot believe how similar we are on these. Okay, I have 20th Travis Mayer, then Hatfield, Sam Cornoyer, Guy, James Sprague, Bailey Martin, BKG, Saxon Panchik, Sam Quant, and Yellow Hoste.
Travis Mayer, another good runner. Luca, I had a gut instinct just for Luca, and I'd like to see him do well at the games. Austin Hadfield, I think that's my highest rookie finisher. I just think for the rookies, it's rare to see them get close to that top 10. We did see that last couple years with female athletes. We saw it with Yellow Hosta last year. This field just seems to be so deep. Could Austin finish higher? Maybe, but we'll see. Guy, Bailey Martin in 17th, BKG, Saxon, Yellow Hosta, James Sprague, I think he will have a great year. I think he's looking awesome. Super impressed by him in the semifinals. And Sam Quant, 11.
So the big thing here is I had Jason Hopper in the top 10, but I said last year after the games that I am not trusting him ever again. He burns me every year. And so I dropped him down and I looked at him as he's just become another Sam Quant. Like,
Yeah.
Depending on programming, he could get a top 10, but this is really the normalization of where Jason Hopper is going to be. I hope he proves me wrong because he has looked like a different athlete this year, but he always looks different in semifinals. I need to see it at the games. James Sprague, I saw in the comments, people are like, I think he's top 10. Again, semifinals are so different than the games. It's a lot longer, and James has been dealing with a hip issue. So with that longer format at the games, I don't have him in the top 10. And with this field, to make the jump from not making the cut last year to making the top 10 in the men's side is insane.
To me, he's my most improved for my male pick, most improved for the year. And my rookie of the year is Austin for the men. And I don't know if they'll have male and female. And I think I had Walton on the female side being my highest rookie.
Anything from you, Jamie?
No. Travis is a hard one for me. I always want to pick him hard, much higher than I have him here. I'm hoping he can do enough to make it to the last day, but I mean, I think what we've seen stacks up for him pretty well. But I had hoped he would do better at semis than he did. So,
yeah. So what's funny is, I'm the only one that's seen all three of our top picks, and they're actually going to be very similar when we get there. But this like I put out a poll question a couple weeks ago: is this the deepest men's field we've ever seen? And I could not believe that it was not 100%. Because how you get someone into the top 10, going in just in my mind, I'm thinking Yellow Hosta, yeah, he's a top 10 athlete. But I don't know where to put him. Now, the one thing you will notice is Saxon Panchek has not made my list yet. John Young. Just saying. Saxon's still available on my top 10. So with that, let's go to the top 10. There it is. Bam. Go ahead, Jamie.
okay. 10th, Jason Hopper. 9th, Lazar Jukic. Jay Crouch, Brent Fikowski, Dalen Pepper, Justin Medeiros, Pat Vellner, Roman Krenikoff, Ricky Garrard, Jeff Adler.
I'll go. Jay Crouch, Lazar, Jason Hopper, Dallin, Brent Fikowski, Justin Medeiros. I think we'll have a great bounce back year. Roman Krenikoff, Pat Vellner, Ricky Garrard, and Jeff Adler.
And I went Lazar Jukic, Brent Fikowski, Saxon Panchek, Jay Crouch, Dallin Pepper, Roman Krenikoff, Justin Medeiros, Pat Vellner, Ricky Garrard, Jeff Adler. So we all have Jeff Adler and Ricky Garrard 1-2. What shocked me to death is the biggest Pat Vellner fan does not have him in the top 3.
I'm like so sad about this right now. What the heck, guys? So I thought a lot about what Carolyne said with last year's programming was super upper body pulling, like great for Gazan. And it's true for Pat too. And it makes me think, like, will we see different programming? And it, like, what if it goes back to like the year before it was so shoulder intensive? And we know Pat starts to struggle on those long shoulder endurance stuff. So I started thinking, if we just get a shit ton of shoulder overheads or snatches, or, I mean, is he going to pull out another podium finish? And it scares me. I don't know. It's got to line up for him good. And I don't know that it's going to be a bunch of upper body pulling again this year.
I think that's extremely valid points that you're making. I struggled a little bit with Brent. I wanted to put him, I think, closer towards the 10th. I went with just history a little bit and just where I think he was last year. And he said he's feeling the healthiest this year. But I feel like he said that every year and he's had issues with his knees or hamstring or something like that. My heart went with Pat on the podium over Roman. So I couldn't put Pat off the podium. I think all of these guys are going to be battling really all weekend long.
So here's my big take. I've said Jeff Adler for 2 years, right? I think he is the most well-rounded athlete there is in the sport right now. There's something deep inside of me that believes that Justin is taking all of this stuff, bottling it up, and is going to have another great year, and watch him quietly win the games for the third time. Nobody paid attention to him the entire semifinal, and at the end of the weekend, he won. Just like he did the other 2 years at the games. He is being quiet about all this stuff, and I truly think he is back to having some fun with this, and he's back to the old Justin, and it would not shock me because nobody is putting Justin Medeiros on the podium. I've watched every show. Nobody has Justin on the podium.
I think that's because, he just doesn't seem to have home runs. Like, he might be consistent, but I think with this field, you're going to have someone like, there's an event Jeff can win. And we know that. Like, I don't know if we can say that about Justin. And I think that's why it's hard to give him a even podium. Like, we have him in 4th or 5th, basically all of us. But to say he's going to even get 3rd is tough if you can't say he can win 1 or 2 events. Yeah, 7th best and everything won't be good enough. Exactly.
Sarah Cooper says, please no, winning overall but not winning an event annoys me for no valid reason. It annoys me.
I just don't think
but there's something telling me that that's what this is going to be this year.
I think you're going to have to win an event this year with this field. Like, it's so deep that you need to win an event.
To me, this past year, I mean, the Rogue Invitational, like the other competitions, I think Roman had like a quieter off season. I thought he was going to be a little bit more dominant at semifinals. So I normally would have had him probably in 1st or 2nd, but I just haven't seen that in him this past year. But maybe he'll turn it on at the games like he did last year, and everything will be peaking at the right time, which is what you want to do as an athlete. I mean, it's a solid list. I think you're right, Scott. Like, Justin could be on the podium. Do I see him winning? I don't know. He is very consistent. He's looking good in his training. He looked good at semis. I'd be happy for him to do that comeback.
It's like the magic goatee came in and took over. Yeah. I couldn't. This is where I've been all year, so I didn't want to change it up too much at the top. But that's really how I'm feeling at this point in the season, is I just think he's gonna have a great year. And I have not been a Justin fan through this whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. Did you also submit your spin poll?
I did.
Did you spin exactly this 40?
Exactly this.
Wow. Mine's, I think, a little different. I don't think much, but.
Yeah, I knew we were doing this, so I just screenshotted it as I went through it, so that it just made it easier with all my travel this weekend.
So with all of our women's picks and men's picks, who's your rookie of the year and who's your most improved?
I believe Grace Walton is also my rookie of the year women. And I think Hatfield would be my rookie of the year here in 19th.
Do you have someone that is your most improved?
That
just jumped up from before?
I don't know. It'd probably be James.
Yeah, I'm just going by memory because I don't remember where I put them, but I do have Hattie pretty high on the women's side. I think I have her 15th, and that's ahead of Grace. Gosh, just trying to. There's so many rookies. Like I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
How high did you have Jack Rosema?
Jack was 15th too, I think, 13th.
So he would be your rookie.
Yeah, Rosema would be my rookie of the year. And then most improved, I think I'd have to go with John Young. I think Abby Doman I have jumping the most.
Yeah, I have her pretty high. That might be more than a James Sprague for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I have her 8th.
I don't have her that high.
Yeah, I have her with a big jump, so I think that's my most improved. And my comeback player of the year is Saxon Panjak.
I mean, your comeback would technically be Justin on these picks, but
well, Saxon came back from not even being at the games.
That's true. Mine, I guess, would be Hopper for a comeback. I don't think like Hopper would be most improved because he's already been in the top 10 before. Like I think he got 6th or 7th. I think 7th one year. So to me, it would be if you're consistently lower and then you made a big jump. To me, that's what most improved is. But it could be off your last year, but I don't know.
Yeah. Larry Young, thank you for the $4.99. Ibarra is rookie men's. And they're right. Ricky would, if I go with it wasn't there to where they are, Ricky, I have 2nd.
Right. Yeah, we all do.
So yeah. How
many more events will get released before the games, you think?
3.
3. That's a lot.
I don't know.
Jonathan Thorpe saying Tia most improved from not attending the games to winning the games.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you give a 7-time champion most improved?
No.
Anyway, I think 3's too much, but are these really released events? Because we still don't know anything about them.
I think Dave wants people talking.
Concepts.
Right.
I think it's great that, I mean, a lot of the athletes don't like them released. I like them when they're released personally. I don't mind practicing some stuff. But it does get, people talking about them, people speculating about the movements or what it could be. I think this is positive, right? Without giving exact details on the workouts. I think it's good.
Yeah.
They're teasers or appetizers.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that the team workouts will be close. Not all of them, but Bosman did say that they were close to the individuals. I just wonder how they go about programming that. Like, does Boz have to wait for Dave to program the individual ones so that he can do similar ones that works? Like, I think that would be interesting to ask Boz on how they work on their programming so that they have, similar concepts or are utilizing the rings on the same workouts and just equipment stuff, right? And he did say that they're going to mimic some of the things that they're doing. So if Dave is programming the individuals, I would assume that Boz has to wait a little bit for some of the information and then try to think of something, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I agree. That is an interesting take because, I mean, he did say they're like separate and Boz is doing team, but is he really, for one? And for two, I feel like it makes the most sense to mimic that workout as much as possible. One, just for setting up the field, but the people that just watched, if you get new people watching, at least if you watched the individual, which is usually a little bit easier to follow, then you understand what's happening in the team a little easier if it's a similar workout. when you just throw a whole nother workout out there, people are like last year was so confusing. There was workouts out there that I was like, man, I hope people are not watching this on TV right now. Like I would be lost.
Yeah. Some of the team events in the last couple of years have been really hard to watch.
They're fun to do. They're great tests, but they're not watchable sometimes.
Right.
Kenneth says, I want a full-blown release, all details, a video of demo team doing the workout, the whole kit and caboodle. And the response to that from Jonathan Ortega, hold the phone. It's kit and caboodle, not kitten caboodle. Wow.
Yeah, it's kit and caboodle. Yes.
I've never heard of either, so.
Oh, that's funny.
Larry Young says it's only 11 days away. So I think he's saying 3 more events in 11 days is a lot to ask.
Did you ever have a caboodle, Carolyne?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about right now.
God, go pull up a caboodle, please, Scott. It's it's like your little container for makeup or whatever. You put hair thing. I don't know. You put whatever in it.
A caboodle?
Yeah.
Maybe if I see it. I don't know. I never
pull it up, Scott.
What the heck is a caboodle?
Oh, God, am I that old?
Wow. Okay. I didn't know what one of these. I've heard the phrase.
Oh, gee.
But I have I didn't know it was a thing. So a caboodle is this like kit that you put all your makeup in.
Yeah.
Okay. My sisters had them, not me.
So that is a caboodle. And it actually starts with a C, not a K.
Yeah. I sort of feel like maybe the phrase is older than this, and then the caboodle got named because of, I don't know. I'm not sure.
This is the Kitten Caboodle Doodle Edition.
Can't say I put my makeup in there growing up.
I'm pretty sure I had one.
It looks like what I used to put fishing lures in.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Like a tackle box. Exactly what it is. A caboodle. There you go, Jeff Birchfield.
Yeah. Wow. Well, do we want to hit this last topic? We've had it in here for 2 weeks. Let's hit it real quick, and then maybe we run it over next week. So when Andrew Hiller did his top 10 based on social media followers, it was incredibly lopsided to the women had way more followers than the men. And then he said with that, and he just threw this out as, if there are more followers for the women in this sport, should the women get paid more than the men? Because that has been the concept in the reverse for a lot of the sports that have been going on, that men get paid more because more people watch, more people follow. But yet in this sport that has been equal, more people are following the women. Mm-hmm. So should the women get paid more?
I mean, I think naturally they will based on sponsorships because of their following. So that'd be the only thing I would say. Do I think the first place women's check should be $350,000 and the first place men's should be $250 or $300? No.
Yeah, I agree. They're already getting the money based off of sponsorships and stuff like that. They're already making more naturally in the sport than the men do.
So let me take that a step further. If you're CrossFit and the women are being followed more than the men, should you make sure that the women have prime spots on ESPN, that the women have prime locations in the weekend, that they are being featured? Because it does seem very much that the men are talked about a lot and the women still a lot, but not quite as much for what you're seeing in these numbers. And you'd almost have to see like the streaming numbers for both as well, which we don't know.
Yeah.
Because the reason I say that is I had Holly go back and grab who was the final event for all of the CrossFit games.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2007, they went at the same time. But then in 2008, it was women doing grace. 2009 to 2014, it was the men.
He's talking about the men are always ending the games. So they're the main event type thing.
Then in 2015, the women ended the games. 2016 to 2019, it was the men again. 2020, we were the small ranch games. They both went at the same time because that was the Atalanta. And then 21 and 22, the women finished the games, and 23, the men finished the games.
Don't they alternate every year who starts and who
they
starts
do.
The day?
I had Holly do the research.
I know, I understand. And I'm kind of wondering if some of those years they just didn't like, because I know I can picture in the past they've like, say the women started the odd years, they would do heats 1 and 2 or however many. If there's 3 heats, then they would do heats 1 and 2, wait, let the men go, and then the last heat of the women would go. So
Holly did that research. The last heat has been men the majority
11
of the
times.
time.
Yeah, 11 to 4. I think I counted on your stat sheet. It's just interesting. Like you would think that they would rotate every year. Like I don't think it matters, but you would think that they would go 1 year it's the men that finish, 1 year it's the women that finish. But just interesting that the men often finish the events. Not on different days, because like it'll be the woman on like they'll change every other day, but always the last day. Typically in the history is what we're seeing is the men will end the games, which is just interesting. Like I don't know, just.
I would argue though that even if the men, if the men had heats 1 and 2, and then all 3 heats of the women finish, or 2 heats, or however there many is, or 4 heats 1 year, like that breakup to put the men then at the end, like you maybe got more eyes on that full group of women. I don't know.
It was just a thought. Like we don't have hard data to go with this, but it was just Andrew threw it out when he did that based on social media following. We don't have the views on the stream during those events. That would be the telltale sign.
But I for sure think that they should be paid even. Like I think both are like I think people in our sport are invested in both the men and the women field. I think equally. Yeah, I like the fact that it's equal in our sport because that's not the case in most sports. I like that.
Yeah, I know when I was like young, female tennis was more popular than male tennis. And I don't think that the pay back in the 80s and 90s translated to that.
I think Billie Jean King worked really hard to get the women's pay basically even, I think, or pretty close to even with the men.
Because there was a while like I was really into women's tennis, and the men's game was just boring because it was just about the serve, and the women actually volleyed a lot more back then. And John Young's probably right. Serena probably has made more money than any tennis player ever, but that is not just from winnings. That is from like she is a global company herself.
Right.
And the Williams sisters did a lot to advance tennis for women. So yeah. And you're right. She should have, she should have made more money than anybody. It was just something to throw out there because of what was said in a fleeting moment on a post. And I just was like, well, let's try to find some numbers to back that up or how things have gone. I think my biggest concern with it is these are numbers that CrossFit should be looking at. And I wish I had the confidence to know that that's what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, look at the streaming numbers. Are they lining up the events so that the most popular things are being shown in the most popular time, in the featured times?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know that they look at viewership or any of that. I mean, they've made a lot of poor decisions in regards to trying to increase viewership. Like, I know they can't really do a lot with the Olympics right now, but like, it's not a great time to have the games going on. I mean, maybe you needed to move it up 2 weeks this year.
Yeah, I had that question in there. Are you going to feel torn with the games and Olympics going on at the same time as a viewer?
Yeah. I mean, and then it's the same with the Masters. Like, I swear they're hoping that they're trying to prove that it's going to fail. Well, yeah, you've put it all on the same weekend where your entire all the people trying to watch have to split between your teens and your Masters. Like, that's just silly. That's not how you grow. And be like, see, we told you. And all the other people that are trying to be like, well, you guys keep asking for it, but you can't go. No, people can't go. They can't even go. Moms and daughters can't even go together. Like, it's terrible.
I am glad they're at least streaming, live streaming the Masters and Adaptive and Teens, as they wrote on their Instagram. So that's a positive. And Sean Woodland did get picked up for the Masters. He got recruited.
Yeah, we knew that would happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of people are not torn. They're going to use IG for the Olympics and watch the CrossFit, but we're a bunch of CrossFit nerds here. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, I am not the Olympic fanatic that some people are. I will watch pretty heavily through the swimming because that's what I did for so long. And then when they get to track and field, I'll start to hit a burnout during that week of like a week and a half of trying to catch everything. And then rugby's not as cool as I thought it was. And fencing, well, maybe not as exciting as I thought it was in week one. And I'll probably just dive over to the CrossFit, but.
Yeah, I'll be watching both, but I want to make sure my Heat 1 picks are in line. So I gotta be paying attention to the games workouts as well.
I just hope that the Wi-Fi at the arena is better than Madison.
Do it the night before.
But a lot of the Olympic stuff are very early in the morning. So it could, from where I am right now in California. So I think I'll be able to watch both of them.
As an old man, I love that I get to watch the primetime Olympic events at 2 p.m. Like, doesn't affect my bedtime, doesn't affect anything. I love it.
Larry, who's not going? I don't feel like there's any Masters that were going that are not going now.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to is going. So, yeah.
I mean, if you're talking like someone like Rich, we always knew he wasn't going to be going. He wasn't even.
Yeah, it's a full docket at the Masters games.
Yeah.
What helped is they kept at least the same prizing money, right, for the Masters as past years. It had that gone down, I think you would see a difference in maybe some of the international athletes that would travel.
The only person that I knew is in question is Will Morad, but it's due to an injury, not to anything else.
Right. Yeah.
But everybody else I've talked to is going.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. John Young is saying that if he can get it in, I can get it in. I just wait till the last minute. I will admit I am not the best planner. And I'm going alone this year. So like I have nobody to be on my on my butt about
Sorry.
getting all this stuff done. I may show up at the games mid-afternoon because I just am not put together. This will be the first time in a long time I don't have someone to make sure I don't forget stuff.
I feel so bad.
Next year, we're going to have a good team there, though. With that, guys, it's been fun tonight. Rip apart our picks. It was really hard. It was so hard. Much harder to do the men than the women. It is such a deep field. It's going to be a fun competition to watch. So much fun. It's going to be just like the Olympics have come down to like hundredths of a second. This men's competition is going to come down as a nail biter to the end. You know it. So
can't wait.
All right. I'll be about it, John. This, and I'm going to finish with this. I had Caitlin Johnson on Friday. I've been watching swimming. I want to get back in the pool. The dog is coming back out in me. I want to supplement my training with some swimming again. One, I think it'll do wonders for my recovery and help this old body mend faster just by doing some non-impact stuff. Now I just got to find the pool that is open consistently that'll allow me to do that. But yeah, I'm pretty fired up about that.
That's awesome.
So once I get back to the games, I got to find a membership, get in the pool, and like 2 days a week swimming, and then do my CrossFit the rest of the week. But just to like get some low impact time in to feel better. With that, Will Morad just posted on IG of a pic of a box and a ruck. I know he liked the prize money for the 35 to 39. Mm-hmm. And he told me that if it was staying the same, he was going to try to get there and make decisions on his recovery based on that. Mm-hmm. They stayed the same. Maybe he's going to give it a go. And if he is, we'll be behind the scenes to catch it all. So that's going to be a blast too. With that, we're going to get everybody out of here tonight. Enjoy the Olympics this week. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll do our thoughts on who's going to win the teams. Maybe not a full 40 or 30 breakdown.
Top 10.
We tried that last year, and you might as well just put them in a box.
Top 5.
Yeah, we'll go top 5. With that, everybody have a great week. We'll see you next time on Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. Bye, guys.